Alex, it has been way too long. I don't even know the last time that I got a chance to catch up with you guys. It may have been like Sunset Music Festival a decade.
I was just about to say that.
That was like a decade ago.
That's an amazing festival, by the way. I need to come back to Sunset Music Festival. That crowd is wild.
Hold on, I'm pouring one out.
Really, it stopped.
Yeah, unfortunately. But yes, it was an incredible festival, and hopefully at some point they will bring it back and it will be an incredible festival again.
I believe so. If not, we'll do something bigger and better.
Yes!
But that was the last time I saw you. It's so good to see you. Thank you for having me on the show today.
It is great seeing you too. We've got a lot to catch up on. We're going to be chatting all about your smash Move a Little Closer with Abi Flynn. We're going to get to know Dubs a little better with Finky's First. And I'm going to possibly ask you a question that you have never been asked before. Alex, Dubs, welcome to America's Dance 30 for the first time.
Pew, pew, pew. It's my Jamaican horn.
Alex, congratulations on this new smash, Move a Little Closer with Abi Flynn that's climbing the charts.
Thank you so much. It's such a special record to us. And, you know, with the support of you guys and a bunch of our close friends in the industry supporting it all the way up, I'm so excited to see what this record is doing and how it's getting, you know, recepted by everyone. So
yeah, and I can't wait to find out how it was born. But I saw that you guys recently posted some teases in your stories of some new music. You know, you guys have been doing this a long time. Originally, testing a record was just throwing it in your sets and seeing how the crowd reacts and maybe putting it on SoundCloud to see. But now with sharing teases on Instagram and socials, do you like that better to see crowd reaction?
You know what the craziest thing is that I basically fought against joining TikTok for so long. And Move a Little Closer is the first song that I started 3 months ago on TikTok, and Move a Little Closer was the first song that, you know, everyone was like, wait for this, wait for that, wait for this. And I said, I'm going to see what the people think on TikTok. And the first video that I posted on, it was a studio video of Move a Little Closer, went viral. And that was the whole birth of this record. It was actually a product of TikTok. And we're about to hit 10,000 sound uses of people just using it in all their videos. And it's just like, that's straight organic. And like, it's so wild. And it's like, to me, I'm like, damn, I should have started this 5 years ago.
Well, listen, don't feel bad. I'm the same way with TikTok. Like, I'll hop on there and post my content and then get out.
Yeah, no, but it's kind of a beautiful thing, to be honest. You know, the people they're really the determining factor at this point, and I think that's great. You know, before, yeah, you'd play the record in your sets, and we still do that, and you know, we can gauge the crowd audience of how they're enjoying it live, because that is super important to us. But to put a teaser online and to be able to gauge how many people are like, I need this song now, it makes it, you know, it makes it pretty, like, it's a great determining factor. I love it.
Yeah, and it's crazy because when you do throw it in your sets at a festival, there's like, you know, 50,000 people. You don't know how many of those 50,000 actually like it. When you've got it being used as a sound, like, that's more engaging.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, and if you think about how many people are using it and the song traveling to their database of people, and then it's just this web, and it's such a wild way of kind of like premiering music nowadays. But yeah, I mean, I also take a grain of salt that, you know, not every first post of a song needs to go completely viral, because I do think there is amazing music out there that maybe, you know, needs to just be digested a little longer. But, you know, I'm taking it on this one. I'm loving it.
Well, before we talk all about music, let's get to know Dubs a little better with Finky's Firsts.
Perfect.
Now, when you guys were growing up, was music the first thing that you wanted to get into, or was there something else that you guys wanted to be?
Soccer players.
Really?
Yeah. So Chris is my older brother. He's the second half of Dubs. We both played very competitive soccer, where at the age of 15, we went and played in England. And yeah, we played for like the semi-pro youth academy in Toronto, where we grew up, called the Toronto Lynx. And we were brought to England to train in Manchester United, where we trained with Ronaldo and Roy Keane, and yeah, on the Carrington grounds. And when we got back from that trip, we played all the academies across England for quite some time. And when we got back from that trip, I actually quit soccer and started music.
What made you quit?
The fact that when I played in England, I had the same position as the coach's son. So I got benched a lot, and I get to play the last like 10 minutes of the game. And I scored some goals in those last 10 minutes. And but Chris was also way better than me. He got a soccer scholarship, and when he left to go to continue university with his soccer scholarship, that was kind of the way we communicated, was through music.
So how did you convince him to start Dubs?
So he was basically about to graduate, and I was about to start university, and there was just some fire inside me that was like, man, like, we grew up loving music. We had some bands before he left for school and his scholarship, but when he was in university, he started teaching himself how to produce on Ableton. And I'd be writing songs on guitar and recording vocals, and he would send them back almost in like a remixed version of the song. And that's how we just like stayed in touch. We were always best friends growing up. We're 18 months apart. But once he left, that was a big like switch in my life. But we communicated through music, and almost through these remixes of like, I was writing like rock records and reggae records, and he was sending back these dance versions of what I was creating. And that was the early beginning of Dubs. And that was right when David Guetta and LMFAO and Avicii were becoming like North American superstars. And that's when Dubs was created.
That is amazing that it started by him kind of remixing you.
I'm telling you, it was like, I could send you some. I think we still have some of these demos. I'll send them to you. They're
oh my
nuts.
God, I gotta hear them.
They're probably super embarrassing, but you got to start somewhere, man.
Absolutely.
I think it was more important that, we were creating a sound before like the boom was actually happening. So, being 18, 19 years old and getting into this like wave that was happening in North America was like the most powerful part about it all.
Now, think back to the early days when you were trying to figure out a name for your artist project. Was Dubs your first choice, or were there other names you were considering?
So we had a few bands growing up, but Dubs was actually, to be honest, dub reggae is a style of reggae music that is an electronic component of reggae music. And we always loved that name. We always kind of used it as like, you're catching a dub, like a W, like a win, rolling on dubs. We just love that word. Our crew said it a lot. And we had a hard time trademarking it with a U. So our last name is Vandenhoof. I have the V tattooed on me right there. We ended up putting the V in there, and the rest was history. That was kind of we just rolled with it. And to be completely honest, it has been a bless and a curse, the amount of places in the world, in Europe, and places where they're like DVBBS, like everyone has said it wrong at least once before. But you know what? It made a great story. And that being said, right when we were starting, like when I first saw Deadmau5 and all these like, cool names with letters and different, numbers, and I was like, this is dope. We're a part of it.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I remember Pete Tong calling Deadmau5 Deadmau 5. So so DVBBS.
DVBBS in the house.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Now, speaking of Europe, you guys just recently played Tomorrowland. You've played all over the world. Side note, do you have any idea how many shows you guys have done in your career?
I'd say we're well over 1,000+ gigs now.
Man.
Yeah, from 2012, 13 to 2019, we were doing at least 150 to 200 a year.
God, I'm exhausted just hearing that.
Yeah, it was an interesting time, you know. And we, you know, to this day we still do, you know, 7,500 gigs a year if you know, but we're a lot more strategic, you know, picking, you know, the festivals and the cities that we want to headline, and it's a different time in the touring market right now as well. So just being strategic and, you know, making sure that it's lining up with your releases and doing things properly is a big part of the strategy. But yeah, dude, during that initial boom where, you know, we moved to Los Angeles March of 2013 and Tsunami was released a few months later. And after that, we basically got asked to do an Adventure Club tour in the middle of that release. It was 50 shows across America. And once we finished that, we went to Europe and never stopped touring ever
Oh
since
my
that time.
God. That is insane. Well, do you remember the first show you guys ever did as Dubs?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it's a crazy and it's a crazy, crazy story. So that soccer scholarship that Chris got, and he ended up in this university where they were doing a showcase. And in Canada, we don't have MTV. We do, but it's called Much Music. And Much Music was, it still is now. It was a massive music platform where they created a TV show called Disband, and they found some great artists and signed some big artists from Canada on that TV show before. But the premise of the show is they go across all of Canada doing showcases, and the best band wins the show, gets a record deal, gets an agent, gets a whole bunch of like a new team. And his school was hosting the showcase, and that was our first show as Dubs, and we won it.
Oh, no crap.
Yeah, yeah. So we got our first agent, Colin Lewis, who was at there. Now he's at Live Nation doing Post Malone in the weekend. One of the reps from Universal, we got signed to Universal Records, and that's why I got accepted to school right around that time and ended up dropping out right then because that one showcase landed us a TV show. We filmed 2 episodes and we stopped filming because we didn't like where it was going. And we got the whole team based off of that, though.
That's actually what I was going to ask you because a lot of the contestants, like on American Idol, when they lose, they actually say that they're happy that they lost and didn't win. Was it like a kind of double-edged sword?
100%. Yeah, it was like you have so many things getting thrown at you at once, and it was like, okay, you won the TV show, so now you got to film like 9 episodes. Then they have contracts coming your way. Then they have people trying to sign you from different, you know, left, right, and center, and you're just like, I was 18 at the time, so I didn't really know what was going on. I was just excited to, you know, get my feet wet in the music industry. And by the second episode, we filmed 2 episodes. I think the pilot of the first episode got like premiered. And by the second episode, it became so reality based. And they were asking us so many questions about things that had nothing to do with music that the punk inside of us was like, you know what? I think we got to just like reanalyze this whole situation, and we went in, made an EP, and ended up getting Universal as our label from the beginning. There, we got a great agent who was putting us on some good festivals and shows right in the very beginning, and we got to ditch out on the whole show without having to sign like you know, a really bad like TV contract.
Well, that's incredible that you actually got good stuff out of it.
Yeah, dude. I say this all the time. Like I truly believe we have some angels watching over us during our career because it's been an amazing roller coaster. And there's any musician that gets to a certain point in their career understands that, like, you know, there's a lot of things that can take you down. You know,
Absolutely.
especially bad contracts.
Absolutely. Now, do
Yeah.
you remember the first festival or EDM show that you went to?
So we had a crazy venue in Toronto actually called the Government. And that was a legendary venue where you know, I saw like Sander Van Dorn back in the day. I saw Steve Angello do a solo show in there. Those were like the early days. But Chris saw Avicii first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was like when he was still doing his like college tours. And it was really my big bro who kind of like really like put me on to that stuff. And then I will say I wasn't really like I wasn't partying. I wasn't really going to many shows. I was in the studio working on stuff in hopes that I could get playing in some of these, you know, environments. And after that whole we'll have a longer interview to eventually explain what happened with the early Universal deal and all that stuff. But long story short, we signed to Josh Herman and Steve Herman, who are our managers to this day. They signed us when we were 18, and Steve's over at Live Nation, and he put us on an identity. It's called Identity Festival.
Yeah, we had that here in Tampa.
Yeah, so we got put on the Identity Festival. We did 8 shows driving around America in a pickup truck. Cascade was playing. I'm pretty sure Deadmau5 was playing. Showtek was playing, and we were the first guys on the amphitheater stage. And to be completely honest, we were still doing it live with like instruments. Chris took all his drums and put triggers on all his heads, so everything sounded electronic. And we get to the show with the pickup truck. We're unloading the drums and the synths and everything, and they go, "You guys can't put this on stage. There's too much pyro. You guys got to only DJ." And we're like, okay. So that tour, we learned how to truly like DJ on that tour in front of like thousands of people.
Oh my God. Talking about trial of fire.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's a video that says Dubs, the worst DJs in the universe.
I hope I didn't post that.
I swear you'll find it. It's on YouTube.
That's hilarious. I wonder if you guys came through for our identity, because I vividly remember the fairgrounds that it was at.
We might have, yeah.
And I remember going inside with my friend. We saw Nervo was playing inside.
Yeah.
Cascade was there. I wonder if you guys were there.
I gotta look at the schedule. That would be insane. Yeah, Tampa. We've had some amazing times in Tampa.
Oh, it's such a great city for parties. Now, you guys have had some iconic songs. You mentioned Tsunami. You've had Gold Skies, Just Words, your new song, Move a Little Closer. But do you remember the first dance song that made you fall in love with EDM?
I think it was I Remember.
Oh, Cascade. Oh.
Yeah, I would say that was because I was still like downloading music on like this old computer at the time, and I was just like
illegally.
I get arrested straight off this interview. Yeah, I think it was I Remember. Yeah, and then Chris fell in love with the. It was around that time. It was the David Guetta that When Love Takes Over.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I remember being at Ultra when he dropped that, and I remember literally the second I left Ultra reaching out to the record label going, "What is this? I need this song." It was just so amazing.
Incredible. And like, I mean, when you come from like a band background and all of a sudden, us being kids, like we never really understood that like that the world of electronic music could just be so big and so powerful. And we were so naive at times being younger, just being like, no, we have to drum live and sing live and play bass and guitar live. And it was that moment that like it shifted in our brains that like we knew we could really just kind of like transform our sound into something, much bigger than it ever was.
That's incredible. Now, just going back to Tsunami really quick, it's still played at almost every sporting event if there's a good in-arena DJ. When you're at a sporting event and they drop it, is it annoying at this point?
I would say like 6 years ago, like when you've heard it like nonstop on the radio too, because we keep in mind like Tsunami was actually an underground record, like when it came out, it was like that was fresh. That was underground. It was the masses that took it up into the mainstream. At a certain point, then I'm like, oh, I actually feel like this is a huge like bad dream at all times. And then you hit a certain point where you're like, this is such a blessing, like to be able to have a song in your catalog that continues to just like play during sport games. Like that's like, and growing up in sports, it's here in Los Angeles, the Rams play it like every single game. Back home, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they play it like religiously. I know the Tampa Bay Lightning play it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just at the Buccaneer game on Saturday. They dropped it. I don't know if people still tag you, but like they played Sandstorm again, and I tagged Darude in it.
Such a legend, Darude. But I will say the one coolest thing that has been happening with Tsunami is that the U.S. Army versus Navy game. It's become a staple for that game. It's their every game kind of like anthem. And to watch, I think it was Dave Portnoy who just posted it again recently. But to watch the whole stadium of the Army and the Navy like just going so crazy and chanting it. Someone told me recently that they're actually bringing it into the Army to be like one of the songs that they like
Wow.
actually yeah, perform and like do all like the drum march stuff too.
Oh, that's so incredible. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. So I mean you were there like literally from the very beginning. Like you were there watching that happen.
And I mean, it still never gets old when it comes on. It is such a great hype song.
Hardwell just did a crazy remix to it.
So insane.
Yeah, he premiered it at Tomorrowland. I keep telling him like send it to me. I want to play that.
The fact that he hasn't sent it to you yet.
Crazy, right?
That's funny. Now, finally, in Finky's first, your latest song is a collab with Abi Flynn.
Yeah.
If you could time travel and go back in the past to collab with anybody, who would be your first choice?
Wow. I mean, I feel like we can make something amazing with Bob Marley.
Oh, oh my God, that would be incredible.
Yeah, just having like a vocal that can uplift, and people are gonna think, oh wow, it's just gonna be like, reggae aspect record. I just think that, a perfect vocal that can uplift an audience over top of the right chords and, progression. It doesn't need to be just fully, reggae. It could just be a beautiful record. Who else? Who else? Who else? I would say I don't know, but all I know is we hit up Tove Lo again today for this record that we worked on, a while ago, and I'm trying to revisit this idea because it's there's something about music that if you make a great record and it doesn't come out, you might just need to update the production of the drums, 4 or 5 years later, and a good record is still a great record.
Still,
So
yeah.
yeah, so there's stuff we're sitting on at least like 50, 60 songs in our vault that are, some stuff just demos from back in the day that I like to revisit once a year to see what will align with like the palette of where the world's at musically right now.
Well, let's talk about your latest smash. How was this song born with Abi Flynn?
This song is so special. I can't even lie. Abby is a true superstar. She's a UK based singer. To be honest, if you do some research on Abi Flynn, she's been on about four massive, massive dance anthems, just hasn't been credited. And which happens, but this time around in March, we've been talking to her since December last year, but in March I got the vocal, like the demo idea of Move a Little Closer. And I know that there were a lot of the big guys, like I think it was TS. Some of the big guys have been circling around trying to get that vocal. And I told her straight up that, Abby, if you allow us to work on this record, I want to put you on the forefront. I want to credit you. I want you to be on this record with us, And she could have easily gone and just, shop this song to one of these major, major DJs, but she trusted in our like talk in our process. And, we worked on a version of that record. We sent it back and forth. We had about three. It was the drop that took actually a few extra weeks of just trying to like get right, because this song is so simple, and sometimes the simplest songs are the hardest to just connect the dots. Yeah, so we worked on that record in March, and it was about 8 weeks later, 10 weeks later, when I decided to just put it up on TikTok, and it just went completely viral. That was the first time we've ever done that before. And the more you look into the story of Abi Flynn, she's such an incredible vocalist. She just beat cancer a few years ago. She's a single mother who, every time I've been talking to her, on the DMs, she's just going from studio session to studio session, just like working with every single DJ and just like creating these like amazing records. I know she had a top 10 in the UK recently with Nathan Daw. And once this record like showed us like what it was actually doing on, online, and how many people were like absolutely loving it and telling us to release it. We had a festival that we're playing in front of 30,000 people, Escapade Music Festival. And 36 hours before the festival, we called her and we're like, would you hop on a plane and come perform it with us?
Wow.
And she put her kid into she got a babysitter right away. She hopped on a flight immediately. And with the travel and the time change, she was there and so excited, just glowing. And she came out on stage with us and we performed the song literally 24 hours later in front of 30,000 people. And that became the music video.
Oh my God, that is an amazing story.
Yeah, it was so epic. And like, I have goosebumps talking about it right now. I don't know.
Oh.
But it's like, there's moments in like that when you're working on a record that makes you realize like how special it all is, because you go through recording sessions and dealing with artists that, they're worried about the contract and their money and this and that. And then there's people that are like, wait, this is about the music first. The reaction is insane right now. I'm hopping on a flight and we're getting straight on stage, cameras rolling, bubble. It's like when it happens in real time like that, it's undeniable.
Oh, I love hearing that. I mean, not only did you guys absolutely kill it with the production, but she sounds so amazing on the song.
I just and I've heard there's a few massive remixes right now in the works too, which I love playing the song live, and we played it at Tomorrowland like a week and a half ago, but to get a couple remixes that we can kind of like play the original first for like the first half and then drop it into like a remix, that's what I've been really excited for too.
Well, hopefully you get those remixes sent to you.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the amazing success of it.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for supporting it. It's meant so much to us. Like, we've been working on so many records, and as a musician, you go through, times in your career where you're like experimenting with new sounds and trying to catch new waves, and sometimes they don't work and they don't connect, but when they do, it's like it's one of the best feelings in the world.
I bet. And I mean, When I produce the show every week, it's just so good seeing you guys back in the top 30. It makes me so happy.
Thank you. I hope that, everything we do after here will stay there as well.
Absolutely. Now, before I let you go, I asked ChatGPT to give me a question that Dubs has never been asked before. So I got to test this out, all right?
I watched you do this with David Guetta, so I'm
Some of these questions are so insane.
I talked to Chat, and by the way, I talk to ChatGPT like it's my homie.
One of my good friends uses it as her therapist, so you're not alone. Now, you get to swap lives with any other DJ producer for 24 hours. Who would you choose, and what would be the first thing you do?
Wow. It's got to be Calvin Harris.
Oh, yes.
Got to be Calvin, not only like is he kind of like musically just so goated and kind of like a spirit animal, but I feel like we align in a lot of like the health world, the stuff that, that he truly believes in. I live here in LA. I know he didn't live too far, a few minutes up the road from me before. I think he moved back to like Ibiza and like got a farm and all this stuff. And that's just stuff that I dream of for the future, because I love the chaos and I love making music and touring, but the other half of me just, absolutely loves to enjoy life, the still moments of life, the peace, the quiet, farm life, just being, completely still and happy and, having balance.
All that sounds amazing, but I don't know if this is the right time to turn into Calvin Harris for 24 hours because he just had a newborn. So you'd be on diaper duty.
I take it back. I take it back. I'll go to Diplo.
Oh my God. Alex, it is so great seeing you again. Congratulations on everything going on for Dubs. Thank you so much for your time with us on America's Dance 30.
Thank you so much. Wait, I got one little guest right before I leave here. This is Misu.
Oh, Misu! Oh, sorry. Misu.
She's like, I'm sleeping.
Oh, that just makes me wish I had my boy Tucker here.
She's the best, dude. Oh my God.
How old is she?
She's a year.
Oh, congratulations on that newborn. Then you're on diaper duty.
it was kind of the same. Some of these wiener dogs, they think they're like humans. So.
Well, it's so great seeing you. Thank you so much for your time with us.
Thank you so much, Brian. I'll see you soon.